right, as I did tell you a few minutes back, of course, we're going to be starting off the bulletin focusing on the Euro bond. And I have with me, joining me via phone, the Mentoria CEO and economist Ken Gishinga, who's going to be breaking down, the dynamics around this Euro bond once again and whether or not we're taking on too much foreign debt at this point. Ken, thank you so much for joining me and a good afternoon to you. What are your thoughts on the fact that, of course, Kenya did issue a 210 billion shilling Euro bond to UK and US investors just yesterday?
Yes, good afternoon, Malika. This was a big event. Obviously, this is a third Euro bond that Kenya is selling in the last 5 years. This one seems to take place much quieter. The government chose to take a much quieter approach. It didn't feature much in the public discourse. And probably it's because that discourse on public debt has really become part of one thing that kind of frustrated Kenyans. So it was a much more quiet Eurobond, but it seems that the government is expecting an oversubscription, which will help it offset some of its debts.
All right. And what do you think about the growing trajectory of the debt we're accumulating? What are your thoughts on whether or not we're going to be able to sustain this level of debt and paying it back? You do know that just last week we were talking about the debt levels in the country being kind of reaching that unsustainable point. So how far do you think that we're going to be able to make sure that we're paying back in time and still keeping our economy stable?
Obviously, it's definitely worrying. This will be the first year that will be spending more than 1 trillion shillings in servicing public debt. So it's not a good narrative. And it's something, especially if you look at KRA constantly missing its revenue targets, it tells you that we are plunging more and more in a deficit. So I think the quick thinking right now is to really try and refinance some of that very expensive debt, and also to try and lengthen the maturity profile so we don't have to be parting with too much cash in the short run.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Ken, and for giving us your thoughts there. That was Ken Gishinga, economist and Mentoria CEO, just sharing his thoughts on the issuing of the Eurobond of 210 billion shillings to UK and US investors. We're going to take a very short break, but we'll be right back with more on Business Today.
This is KTN News.